Hello and welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks. Today we are going to be answering 10 vital, biting, incisive questions about the band Illusion. Please stay tuned. It's coming up right after this. Okay, and question number one is, which illusion are we talking about? And that is an excellent question because at the same general specific time there were two bands called Illusion. The first band, which is probably better known, was a British prog outfit that had come out of the Yardbirds and the original lineup of the band Renaissance. But we're not talking about them today. What we are talking about is a five-piece American outfit from Long Island that were on the Steed record label. And question number two is, who the hell are Steed Records? And well, you may ask. They were a small outfit. They were formed in 1967 by Jeff Barry. I will get more about Jeff Barry later on. Pretty cool label. Jeff was a songwriter. And his biggest act on Steed Records was the Canadian popster Andy Kim. The other acts, besides Illusion and, of course, Andy Kim, were Louis St. Louis, The Playhouse, Keepers of the Light, Hank Shifter, and the Rich Kids. So this stable of artists was probably not household names, which may explain why Jeff decided to eventually, after 4 years, close the label and move to California and start a whole new life out there. And question number three, why does the name Jeff Barry sound so familiar? Because the name Barry and Greenwich sound familiar. And Barry was that part of the songwriting duo. Together they wrote Walking in the Rain, Leader of the Pack, Do-Wah Diddy, Chapel of Love, River Deep Mountain High. He also went on to write the Archie's huge hit, Sugar Sugar, and also discovered Neil Diamond and was responsible for getting him a record contract. Later, he was made the musical supervisor for the early days of the Monkees show, and he brought over Neil Diamond's I'm a Believer and gave it to the Monkees, which we all know is a massive hit and a great song. And question number four, isn't this video supposed to be about the band Illusion? And absolutely correct, it is, and I'm going to get back to them right now. As I said, they were a five-piece from Long Island, New York. They were originally called the Five Illusions, but dropped the five. And those five were, and you'll have to please bear with me here, I'm going to have a Steve Carlson moment. The five members were Mike Maniscalco, the lead vocals and guitar, John Vinci, the lead vocals, Richie Cerniglia, lead guitar, Mike Ricciardella, drums, and the bass player was just plain old Chuck Adler. Now the band was together between 1965 and 1972, and apparently amazing live band that built up a big reputation in the New York area. And I think part of the problem with this band, commercially, because the albums, I really like them, is the fact that there was this push and pull, I think, and the band has complained about it in the press here and there in my research, that there was always this push and pull between their hard rockin' sensibilities and Mr. Barry's, obviously, pop bona fides, where he was just, there was a push and a pull, and each album has some songs which are hard rockin' and you get a flavor for a band, and then they start sounding like the Association. And question number five, did they have any chart success? Yes, they did, minor though it be. Their lead-off single from their first album, Did You See Her Eyes, actually made it to 32 on the Billboard chart, so top 40 hit. I'm sure it was cut down. I haven't heard the single, but I'm sure it's cut down from the album version because that goes on for 7 minutes and has a drum solo in it. And listening to the album for the first time, you kind of go, wow, this is a ballsy band. I mean, how many bands on their debut album, on their very first song, on the very first side, put in an extended drum solo? And it does go from there into another musical piece. The song is 7 minutes long, and it kind of rolls around on your tongue like it's a piece of vintage cheese or something before you swallow it. So ballsy call to put that as the first song on the album, but this band took some chances. The album itself made it to 69 on the charts. Question number 6, how is that first self-titled album? And my answer is, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a stellar album. It came out in 1969. And like the following 2 albums, they were all produced by Jeff Barry. The record is atypical for a new band. And number 1, as I said, it had that drum solo in the very first song. And it has 2, count them, 2 extended medleys, one on the end of the first side, one on the end of the second side. I mean, even the Beatles, later in their career, never did that. Basically, they waited until their very last album, on the very second side, to put on basically their first real medley. But these guys, right out of the barn. Some of the songs I like off this one: Talkin' Sweet, Talkin' Soul, top-notch song. Just Imagine, very nice little ballad, has some terrific acoustic guitars and tasty harmonies. Though I will say that you can hear in the odd part of the song, this is before auto-tuning things, the lead singer, it was testing his vocal range in spots. Run, 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 first real sign of that kind of psych element these guys have. Nice, heavier rock song and terrific piece. Alone, here's one of the songs. Again, I do like it, but it's one of those that sound like The Association. It's kind of a late 60s nice pop hit. And I like it, but does everyone? Not everybody's as open-minded as I am. Question number 7. Did Illusions suffer from the dreaded sophomore slump? I personally do not think so. A lot of the reviews online that I read did think so. To me, it's as strong as the first album. It does suffer from the same kind of schizophrenia as the debut, but the cover's not as good. Obviously, that's a sophomore slump. The cover's a bit funny looking, and Together Is a Way of Life is not the very best album title I've ever heard of. But the album has a strange kind of reason for being. After the initial album had that song, which was a minor pop hit, rather than promoting the single and the album, Jeff decided to send the group back into the studio and spend the money recording a second album, which was recorded in 3 days. And amazing, when you listen to this album, think, how could possibly they have done this in 3 days? Some of the songs on this album, which I quite liked, How Does It Feel? It reminds me of the opening track. This is the opening track of the second album. Reminds you of the feel of the first. It's kind of funky, has a great little guitar riff to it, good number. Once in a Lifetime is a terrific song. Lila, another funky little number, nice little lead guitar over the top. Angel has some psych guitar, terrific tune. Naked Blues is a heavy blues song which gives you that kind of club feel that I was talking about earlier, that you can see them jamming away and really having a good time on stage, because these guys could really play. Question number 8. Are these albums you rhapsodize over so expensive to procure? The answer is no. But it could be. The prices are all over the place on Discogs. I was just taking a look, and they go from about $15, $20, all the way up to way over $100. So I think with a little judicious shopping, you could probably get these for $20 a piece, or maybe even under that, $10 to $20 a piece. Back in the day, I think the very first person I knew who had these albums, my friend Dave, I think he got them for $3 for $1 at like Zeller's or something. But you can't do that anymore. These things, they have gone up in price, and thus we do these channels to tell people about all these wonderful records, because who wants to spend $25 on a turkey? Question number 9. Any interesting factoids on Illusion? And yes, there are, and you'll have to bear with me because I have to go through some of those dreaded names again. Drummer Mike Ricciardella, at the age of 16, won a drum competition and was named the best drummer in New York State. Lead guitarist Rich Cerniglia, at age 15, was backing such acts as the Shirelles, Ronettes, Gladys Knight, the Pips, and the Temptations. For a Italian guy out of Long Island, I think that's pretty interesting. After the band broke up, drummer Mike Ricciardella played with Barnaby Bye. They had, I think, 3 albums out or something like that. He was also the drummer on Alice Cooper's From the Inside album. Mike also played in the band New York. I have at least one of their albums, with lead vocalist John Vinci and guitarist Rich Cerniglia. Mike Ricciardella, Rich Cerniglia, and Mike Maniscalco were also in the Wiggy Bits. I also have one of their albums, kind of a hard rocker from 1976. Rich Cerniglia also was on 3 Ellen Shipley albums and played on the Hall & Oates War Babies album. Rich and Mike, I should have done that from the first, just names only, first names only, also played in the band Aviator in 1986. And question number 10 is, which is your favorite album? I'd have to say number 3, If It's So, from 1970. Most people on the web seem to feel that that was their best album, and I think the band probably liked it the most. It's the harder rock, and I think it's far more indicative of who they were as a live band, and doesn't drift into that silly pop stuff too much. It's a shame that it wasn't the album that broke them and propelled them to a bigger career instead of being their swan song. Really tragedy, because this band had a lot to offer. I mean, they were, obviously, when you listen to these songs, amazing musicians and good songwriters. My favorite songs on this, Man, the first song off the first side. Again, one of those, like the other 2 albums, they come up with these terrific guitar riffs, and it's kind of a funky song, with an extended instrumental like all the other first songs. It clocks in at 7.5 minutes, but is interesting throughout. And that's saying something. I mean, a 7-minute song, you better have something going on. Let's Make Each Other Happy, terrific song. Kind of like the harder edge pop songs of the day, kind of like a Steppenwolf kind of thing that they might have done in their heyday. When I Met You Babe, nice song with a chugging blues boogie-ish rhythms, like kind of reminiscent of Status Quo. This is the only song on the album which was co-written by Jeff Barry, and this goes 7 minutes as well. There are not that many songs. I think there's only 3 on the first side of this album and 4 or 5 on the second side. Collection, I think that's the first song on the second side. Really nice guitar riff in this song. The song might remind you a little of White Room by Cream, possibly. And If It's So, the title song, another good song, a little more low-key. I don't know, kind of reminded me a little bit of A Taste of Honey, though not as saccharine sweetie as that. So that is Illusion. That is my 10 questions answered. And please join me for my next video, where I will spend an hour and a half eating pot roast.